Hey guys, I wanted to talk a little bit about health and nutrition today. And one of the things that I wanted to say is I've been working on my best way of eating and taking care of myself for many, many years now. And I'm still working on it. Um, there's and which makes me think like it's maybe harder than I thought it would be, but I wanted to share my insights from along the way and what seems to be working, or the ideas that the theories that I have that I think are about to pan out here. So so I'm gonna go ahead and take that on today. um the other part of health that I wanted to address is, that idea that we all have that, ooh, you know, once I get there, it'll be great. I'll have energy and strength. And we get that so much from our surroundings. We get that so much from, commercials and YouTube videos. And health is something that changes with the seasons, with the days, with whatever you encounter outside of you, and what you take in and what kind of effect it has. And I think it's just one of those things that is, I think a truly healthy person recognizes that and rolls with the punches, and instead of fighting whatever ailment we currently are dealing with, is just accepting it. And I think accepting it is the first step to making changes for the better, and that recognizing that everything is in a state of change, including your health and your a healthy way of aging, whatever that may mean to you. Is that way of acceptance, and with acceptance going deep enough so that you can make some really good changes for you, that'll work, but still having that like really solid way of eating that carries you through life, with energy and with strength and a certain kind of vibrancy and joy, I think is so important. And so this video is really aimed at um, looking at ways of creating that. I think everybody is very different in terms of what they need nutritionally, what kind of food plan would be best for them, what kind of herbs, and also what kind of energy, obviously. So I wanted to touch base on that. And the first thing that comes to mind is the concept of Ayurveda is actually coming back to your natural state. So that is the goal of Ayurveda. And remembering how you were as a young person, as a healthy child or a healthy youth, and remembering your body structure and whatever time in your life you were healthiest um, and had good color and felt well, and knowing, in other words, who you are underneath of what you're presenting, is really important. If you were heavier as a child and felt good, or more slender or more muscular, wherever you are now, just accepting that and truly accepting it with whatever you need to do emotionally can create a opening for you to come back. And coming back to that state with a proper nutrition and a good way of eating and herbs and stuff is really important. And also recognizing what you come from, where you come from. And an example that recently came to my mind is, for example, somebody with a true Hindu or vegetarian culture that was born from people that have been vegetarian for many hundreds of years is probably their body is so used to eating vegetarian that it's probably a very appropriate and good thing to keep up their health by staying vegetarian. Whereas somebody that comes, for example, from a native background, a hunter's tribe, perhaps, I think is really important for them to recognize the importance of meat in their health, in their blood. I mean, I recognize the farm to table movement, and really, the sourcing locally is really good because you're living here, and so taking in what is local, what is natural to this area, really helps the body adjust to where you're at, and making a connection to where you're at. At the same time, your past or your spirit or whatever it is attracted to a certain type of medicine, and recognizing that and knowing what that is eventually, I think, really serves us. And then I wanted to talk about the elements, the 5 Chinese elements in this case, and really recognizing what nourishes us elementally, energetically, and that's next. The 5 elements in Chinese medicine and philosophy are really play a huge part in health and wellness and balance. And today I'm going to introduce them to you, and you can see which one you are. So we'll start with earth. Earth feeds metal as an element. Metal feeds water. Water feeds wood. Wood feeds fire, and fire feeds earth. If you look and do research online, you will find there are so many different ways to calculate an element. And we're going with this method just as an example. You probably have quite a few elements in your chart. And what I like to think is that if you go back to the beginning, like I said in Ayurveda, and basically look at what you came in with. What issues? So every element corresponds with an organ in your body, and if there's a weakness in that organ, there's a really strong likelihood that that element is very strong in you. So, for example, if you're an earth type or primary earth element, your digestive and spleen function is probably something that you have been working with for a long time. Metal corresponds to the lungs, the skin, and the immune system. So any kind of breathing issue like asthma or an immune deficiency would be considered a metal element. In terms of the water element, which has a lot to do with the kidneys, it's sometimes difficult to tell, but if there's kidney energy lacking, you will have come into this world with the likelihood of like stunted growth or maybe bone deformation like scoliosis. That's very much a water or kidney issue. And then next comes wood, which corresponds with the liver and gallbladder. So any kind of hepatitis or a liver issue when you were little really corresponds with that wood element. And then the last is the fire element, which is very much about the heart and the circulatory system. And very important to note. So I'm going to just list these again here one more time. 4 or 5 is the wood element for liver. 6 or 7 is the heart. 8 or 9 is spleen and digestion. 0 or 1 is lungs, immunity, and skin. 2 or 3 is water for kidney and bone health. So if you're an earth type, just think of yourself as earth. For people of the earth element or primary earth element, it's really important to treat themselves like like good soil. Earth types tend to overgive, and it's like an earth being planted again and again without renourishing itself. So earth types really have to make sure that they do not get depleted, and they learn how to nourish themselves and take care of themselves first. The metal element, metal is considered any stone or metal that you find in the ground, that the ground is compressed and made. It's very much about renewal. The understanding that, like that silverware that you have to polish again and again, get rid of the old stuff that oxidizes at the top to renew itself. And so this is very much about renewing, sloughing off the old skin and letting the stuff underneath come forth to shine, and kind of like ever sharpening itself. And the animal that comes to mind is the snake, which loses its skin or sheds its skin quite a few times in its lifetime. Water is an element that adapts to any condition. It is very strong, adapts to any situation, and it's also has a very intuitive quality to it. And it's very important for water people to recognize that they are not their emotion. So if you think of yourself as mirroring yourself in water and seeing all that stuff that's going on there, it's really important for water types to center themselves so that they recognize their true energy and can let their emotions go freely. There's a lot of great emotion techniques like EFT, emotional freedom technique, for example, tapping, or even focusing. That's very good for these types. They also need to stay warm. That's very important. Okay, next is the wood element. And if you think of a tree that is just firmly established and its mission is to grow upward. So the wood element is very much about growth. It's very much about reaching up, and that's its main function. And so wood people have to remember not to push so hard, but to let the growth come naturally. And to once in a while just let the wind come through their leaves and enjoy that moment, that current moment. And now we come to the fire. Fire types are very much about the heart. If you think about the fire as an element, all the other four elements are already done, finished. But fire needs wood to burn. So in that sense, the element of fire is really dependent on wood. It's really dependent on a strong body, on a nourished body to do its thing. The body, in this case, being wood. Fire people are often very joyful. They often love to share themselves, to entertain. Singing and music and any performing arts is a very fire thing to do. But you have to take care of your instrument. So fire people need to learn to balance their alone time and their sleep and their nutrition, and to take care of themselves within themselves so that they can build that fire and there's enough wood there for them to shine. Otherwise they'll burn out. I hope you enjoyed this little video about the elements and nourishing yourself, and eat well until next time.